Corso friends, welcome back to Opus Elenae, where sometimes we do cosplay. I am always looking for ways to add to my everyday history-bounding wardrobe, and when Aura Lynn put out a call for pattern testers for their new Victorian-inspired tent dress pattern, I knew I wanted to jump on that bandwagon. The shape of the dress made me, and several other of my fellow pattern testers, think of the dresses that Sophie wears in the Studio Ghibli Howl's Moving Castle movie. And I figured I could kill two birds, cosplay and pattern testing, with one stone. The only problem with making a cosplay that would also fit into my everyday wardrobe is that I don't really wear green, blue, or yellow, which are the colors that Sophie wears in the movie. After a poll on Instagram, wherein I asked whether I should make a dress that was more faithful to the movie palette, or a gray one that I would actually wear, the result of the poll was overwhelmingly the latter. Someone reminded me that in the original book, Sophie wears a gray dress. That sold me on the entire idea, and I immediately ordered samples of all of the different grays from Fabric Store so that I could figure out which one would best suit my vision. I generally tend to wear a Victorian half-mourning palette in my everyday life, which consists of black, white, gray, and mauve or lavender. So for my version of the Sophie dress, I wanted a dove gray with lilac undertones if possible, to be paired with black imitation jet buttons because I really am a goth at heart. Everyone go grab your cuppa. I am drinking Twining's Rosy Fig Tea, which is a white tea that has a lovely warm fig and almond flavor that's nicely brightened by the floral rose petals and the lightness of the white tea. It was a gift from my sib Jen, who lives in England, so I apologize that the only link I could find was the co.uk one, but it's still in the description box below. Let's get into it. The first thing to do when pattern testing is to print the pattern. Then comes the assembly. I planned on making this dress at Partner's house over the course of the week after Christmas since I had that off of work. I did forget how dark the living room is though, so I'm sorry for the quality of these clips. I promise it gets better. Now that I've remembered the light situation and moved to the dining room, I can cut out all the pieces and take care of all the scraps. One of the things about pattern testing is that in addition to overall impressions and troubleshooting, designers often have specific things they want paid special attention to. In this case, I have a checklist of things to keep an eye on. I'll start off by measuring the pattern pieces against my body, and since there are no seam allowances, I can see the fit more clearly. Everything looks good, so I can start prepping by ironing my fabric. I ended up going with a medium weight linen in the color Pearl Gray, which is the exact color I wanted. Normally when I'm working with a pattern that has no seam allowance, I try to lay everything out on one layer of fabric, but I didn't have a lot of table space here, so I'm cutting everything out doubled, and I'll trace the pattern piece in reverse on the bottom layer after cutting. Time to start assembling the dress. I admit I usually play a little fast and loose with pattern instructions because I've been sewing long enough that I can generally infer how a garment is supposed to go together. But since I am pattern testing, I will follow the instructions while also doing a close reading for grammar and clarity. I am once again employing my favorite gathering technique where I zigzag stitch over a length of crochet cotton. It is the quickest way I've found to gather fabric. Aura asked us pattern testers to try out one of 3 methods for making the sleeve cuffs: fusible interfacing, cutting the pieces on cross grain, and easing rectangular fabric into a curved cuff shape. I chose to use the interfacing, which is the method I feel most sewists are going to feel comfortable using. The yoke is attached to the body in an interesting way, with the body piece sandwiched between yoke fashion and lining pieces, and then the body rolled up and sandwiched between front and back yoke pieces while the shoulders are sewn. Then the body fabric is pulled out through the open armscye, resulting in a fully enclosed yoke. The collar assembly was also a first for me. It's cut and assembled in 2 halves with a keyhole closure in the back for extra neckline ease, as well as an interestingly constructed placket in the front. The collar ended up being the very snuggest I feel comfortable wearing, and I have a fairly slender neck, so I made sure to note that in my comments. The keyhole is finished with self-bias tape, and the front placket is marked, cut, and bound after that. It's a different type of placket than is used on the sleeves, resulting in a visible, overlapping button band on the front yoke. I hate stitching in the ditch more than almost anything, so instead of doing that to finish the interior edges of bias, placket, and collar, I felled them down by hand. And honestly, it was a good thing, since I was making this while I was still recovering from the bronchitis truck that hit me. Having tasks that could be done while laying on the couch was really, really nice. Thank you to all of my current and continuing Ko-fi members. Your support and the support of all of my members and croissants makes it easier to do what I do and to provide quality content for everyone. Thank you all so much. Stick around after this brief commercial break to see how I finish up this dress at home. Now that the yoke is completely finished, it's time to sew up the sides of the dress. I chose to finish the seam allowances with a serged edge. This isn't a garment that would benefit structurally from felling, and even in the Victorian era, felling wasn't super common. Usually seam allowances were left raw, pinked, or catch stitched down. Next up, sleeves. The cuff will open with a placket to make sure that the buttons lay against the outer edge of the arm rather than at the underarm seam. Unlike the yoke placket, this one will be fully pressed to the interior of the sleeve so it's invisible from the outside. Instead of gathering, I'm pleating the bottom of the sleeve to the top of the cuff, partly because it looks neater and mostly because I am lazy and this is less work. After the sleeves are attached to the body, the next thing to add is the deep ruffle at the bottom of the dress. I forgot to film it, but I used a ruffler foot to pleat the ruffle to the dress body. I promise I'll get some footage next time I use it. It is a neat tool. Then I hem the ruffle with a simple turned hem. And last step, buttonholes and buttons. Sewing on my modern machine feels really weird after having switched almost entirely to my featherweight, and I forgot how fussy machined buttonholes can be. Still, they're fast, and after the surprisingly nice imitation jet beads are attached, the dress is finished. Thank you for joining me today while I came one step closer to my goal of dressing like the ghost of a Victorian child. This is the second or third time I've done pattern testing, and I have to say I really enjoy it. There's something that feels delightfully sneaky about getting the first access to new patterns, and the troubleshooting appeals to my meticulous nature. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, click the bell if you want to be notified, and consider sharing this on your favorite social media platform. If you need to know where to find me on social media, I am at Opus Elenae everywhere, and those links will all be in the description box. I'll also post the link to my Ko-fi where you can leave a one-time tip, browse my web shop, or join my membership tiers for additional content and a personal thank you in my next video. Until next time, be kind, do the work, continue supporting marginalized people, and keep creating. Howl!